Hello and welcome to the Blockade Runner podcast. This is John. With me tonight is Ryan.
Hello.
And we are super excited about all of the D23 news and excitement that happened today at the Disney convention in Anaheim. So big Last Jedi news, big Battlefront 2 news, and some really cool Star Wars Disney Parks news too. So we have a ton of stuff to talk about. We're going to dispense.
Dispense? What does that mean?
We're going to dispense with the pleasantries. We're going to jump right in, and we're going to talk some Star Wars, specifically The Last Jedi. So, unfortunately, D23 is not like much of a live streaming thing. And with The Last Jedi panel,
it's so weird. It's so weird how inconsistent it was because like the gaming event part was streamed and they had and I mean, I guess we'll talk about this when we talk about the Battlefront stuff, but they had a stage set up and, it was all streamed in live audience and everything else. No.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the story is on the streaming setup, but yeah, I mean, because everything for the most part, it seems like mostly, anyways, goes out like on YouTube and on websites and stuff right away through official Disney channels. So I'm not sure what the hesitation to stream the panels is. Although, you probably follow more conventions than I do, Ryan. Is it standard to do that, or is it kind of, I don't know, progressive or whatever on the part of Star Wars Celebration to stream so much of it?
It depends. Like a lot of times with like comic events, comic panels, like those I'm used to like reading live blogs of, because they're not recording or streaming the video or anything. It's just journalists in there like typing on their laptops or whatever. This was interesting though, because kind of like what we got from this live action Disney presentation is it was a lot of like write-ups of journalists describing what they saw during some of these trailers, and like some of the stuff like the behind the scenes stuff for episode 8, which we're going to talk about, that was released like immediately.
Yeah.
But other stuff like the Lion King live action trailer and like the Avengers Infinity War stuff, like that is still like has not been released, and there's just these like write-ups of the descriptions. It reminds me of like old like E3 reports and like old video game journalism when before like the internet.
Yeah, although I suppose there's something to be said for, if you go to one of these events, being able to see this stuff, and not everybody else in the world seeing it. And I do think it seems like, I don't know if anything really leaked with that stuff, right? Like videos, like cell phone videos and stuff. I saw a lot of pictures on Twitter of people putting their cell phones into bags as they were walking into the panel. So I think for the most part, they were able to keep all that stuff under lock and key. But yeah, why they want to do that when, a journalist is going to describe every moment of what happens in the trailer or the footage or whatever, I'm not sure.
And possibly misinterpret stuff too.
Yeah, it does seem like it would be better to let people watch it and make up their own minds, but I don't know. In any case, we did get to see The Last Jedi behind the scenes footage, like you said, almost right away as soon as people were tweeting about it, journalists and things like that who were able to keep their phones. So we'll just kind of like go through the video and discuss what we saw, or what we think is noteworthy. There is a post up on StarWars.com, which we'll link to in the show notes, that has some photos from the panel, and it kind of has like the standout moments, what was discussed, things like that. But, I think the big story here, for sure, is the footage. So let's just kind of go through the footage and talk about it. Do you have it up, Ryan? Are you able to kind of watch along with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I mean, I think we're going to pause like every 2 seconds, so it's whatever, but at least we can both be looking at the footage. And if you're listening to the audio and not watching, we'll try our best to describe what we're seeing. And if you're like us, or if you're like me at least, I'm sure you will have or plan on watching this video like 500 times, and you'll know what we're talking about anyway, right? So anyways, I'm hitting play.
Okay.
All right. So we get just some welding. We get some footage of different locations. The Falcon, good stuff. R2, 3PO, BB-8,
Chewbacca and curls.
Chewbacca and curls. Yep.
Getting a perm.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of pausing here on this. This sun up, probably sunrise shot of
with the speeders.
Yeah. Okay. So are they speeders? I guess that's what they are. Right? I think when I first watched it, I thought I was looking at like A-wings or something, but now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't look anything like, it looks more like speeders or something, right?
Yeah.
Do they look familiar? Not really familiar, right?
No. I don't know, like the kind of like, they seem to have like a, I don't know, like 50s sci-fi silver and chrome vibe to them that actually reminds me a lot of Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Yeah, they don't seem like any type of speeders we've seen before.
Yeah, I don't think we can tell from looking at the image where these speeders might be in the movie, or like what planet or whatever, because I'm guessing this is just like the backlot of Pinewood. There, so it looks familiar to other stuff we've seen like on the backlot, but yeah, they look cool. I'm guessing they are on and now I feel unprepared because I don't remember the name of the planet, but the kind of casino planet with the crazy photos from the Vanity Fair spread.
Yeah,
they look like they would fit that kind of environment and those characters. So it looks cool. All right. After that, we hear Anthony Daniels say the first one didn't even have an episode number, which is cool. This red clay, I paused here on this red clay exploding. And this is, help me out with the name of this planet. Do you remember?
Is that Kareth?
No, it's not, but that's the right planet. I know it's close to that. Crate.
Yeah.
Crate.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I knew it was like a C and an A.
yeah. Great. So this is that red clay that they talked about underneath that sort of white sandy surface. So looks cool.
And we saw a bit of this in the teaser trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a really striking image, and again, the reoccurring theme for episode 8 is red.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that when we look at these posters coming up. Here. I don't know what to make of that, but yeah, it's looking cool. So I'm playing here forward again, and I love this shot of Rey, just because Rey is the most wonderful character, and it's a cool shot. But she of course, I think I watched The Force Awakens last night, and I think that's the gear she's wearing when she leaves the Resistance base on Dakar to go to Ahch-To. So this is probably early on in the movie, since we know she gets some kind of wardrobe changes in the movie. But looking pretty cool. Oh my God, this is a killer shot. How amazing is this shot? I'm on the shot of the Falcon
with Chewbacca making s'mores.
Chewbacca's campfire by the Falcon. Yes.
Yeah.
I love this one. We're assuming, right, this is the bottom of the hill on Skellig Michael or on Ahch-To before like where he lands at in Force Awakens at the end, right?
Yeah.
I don't see R2 down there, but yeah, super cool shot. Not sure what Chewbacca's going to do by the campfire, but even if he just looks cool, I think I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right, then we see Ryan Johnson in the water. We get a shot of Finn there. I paused on the shot of Finn just to sort of try to look at what he's wearing there. We might get better shots later, but is that like a Resistance pilot type uniform?
Seems like it.
Seems like it, right? So, it would make sense for Finn to do some piloting in this film. He didn't really pilot anything, but he was a gunner, an impromptu, a last minute sort of like gunner in The Force Awakens. So we could see that. Or I wonder if this is it looks like a pilot or like a starfighter uniform. Or we should keep an eye out for what Rose is wearing later in the trailer. Maybe it's more of the mechanic type look. But we can see what scope out what she's wearing and see if it's similar.
But I mean, I guess we do see like he is up and about.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like he is he's good to go. He
is good to go. And actually, one of the things that you and I were not able to hear him say, but I did read somewhere, I think on StarWars.com, John Boyega commented on stage today that he has an epic showdown with a major character or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And apparently he looked at
Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie as he said it too. So
yeah.
Hopefully that's not too spoilery. But it's all conjecture, I guess, right? So
yeah.
But it would, I mean, completely make sense for Finn to have a showdown with Captain Phasma. I think that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just saw him getting in her face, telling her he was in charge now last night when I watched The Force Awakens, and there's definitely some bad blood between them for sure. So
yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna move on here. Oh my God, and immediately pause.
Cool shots here, yeah.
This is an amazing shot as well. Just obviously like zoomed out like this and seeing Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker are so small there in the frame. It gives it like an epic feel, but it's just cool. It's just cool to see, Mark Hamill in action as Luke Skywalker again, I think. And there's a lot of talk from Mark Hamill and Rian Johnson about how much thought went into the character of Luke Skywalker for The Force Awakens, and specifically for Rian Johnson, how some of the choices they made for that character are controversial, etc. So to see these two guys sort of sitting down, taking a quiet moment on set to like chat through some things potentially, that's where my mind went anyway when I saw this shot.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the standouts, though, I think, in this behind-the-scenes footage.
That's a good shot, yeah.
I don't know who is shooting most of this behind-the-scenes stuff, but whoever it is. I mean, obviously, like the setups and the locations and things like that are pretty incredible, but whoever is shooting this footage is definitely grabbing some pretty amazing-looking shots. All right. Rey talking. Okay, we have a shot of Leia here, the general. She has a pretty dramatic look on her face. And
I do want to stop for just a sec here, because we get like a reoccurring theme here when Rey is talking. I think this is the part where she mentions, there's going to be some things you don't expect. I don't know if it's this part or another shot, but I think multiple people, and I've only watched this like 3 times, but multiple people like say that there's a lot of unexpectedness in this movie. And I think John Boyega says that, Rian Johnson makes Star Wars feel new again. And I don't know. That just seems to be like a reoccurring theme.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Throughout this.
Yeah, and Mark Hamill has a comment in here too, along those lines. And
yeah, he's like, I thought I knew it all, but
yeah. And Daisy Ridley here said there are some things that are going to make you say, "Oh my gosh," and Rian Johnson talking about wanting people to feel a little shocked as they watch the film. Like you said, so we'll see. I think he's obviously a really unique, really talented writer. So I think that what we're going to get from him will be hopefully really true to Star Wars, but also definitely a unique take on it. And it's hard not to make those Irvin Kershner comparisons with this being the second film in a trilogy. So,
yeah.
And those are flattering comparisons. But yeah, what do you think this is? Like, it looks like there's probably a screen behind her. Is that? I don't think she's there. Wherever. I don't know if you're on the shot anymore, but it's like a sort of like a gray. I don't know if that is Crate 2 or what it is, or maybe it's Octo, or it's hard to say, but
yeah.
it looks like that's like screen projected behind her or something, rather than an actual place that she is. Unless I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, could be. I don't know.
But yeah, she definitely seems pretty intense there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we have a shot of Rey handing the lightsaber to Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know that's going to happen, but it's just crazy to look at this image, seconds of footage, and think like, okay, he's handing her, or she's handing him the lightsaber, and now he's about to say whatever it is he says, and to know that like 5 months from now, we're finally gonna, like, after 2 years of waiting, sort of get to see this interaction between these two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible stuff. Okay, I thought I knew it all, but they throw things at me story-wise I never could have imagined, is what Mark Hamill says there. So yeah, I don't know. We hear all this talk about how different the movie's going to be. And, you know, Rian Johnson mentions things being potentially shocking, etc. And we're spending so much time thinking about what could be shocking here, or what could be different, or the different ways it might bend and turn. I just can't wait to see how it's going to surprise us, and in what ways it's going to be shocking.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways that has really piqued my interest is in that synopsis that you put in the show notes.
Yeah.
We from Disney. Do you want to talk about that now, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, that's fine.
So in the episode 8 synopsis from Disney says, in Lucasfilm's Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the Skywalker saga continues as the heroes of The Force Awakens join the galactic legends in an epic adventure that unlocks age-old mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past. Star Wars: The Last Jedi opens in U.S. theaters on December 15th, 2017.
Yeah. And I just want to give credit to makingstarwars.com. I'm sorry, makingstarwars.net, who posted a little article about this today, a short one. So it was Corey at makingstarwars.net. But I think this would have passed me by otherwise, this little, sort of synopsis. But for sure, it's super, super interesting. So what part of that is kind of standing out to you?
I mean, the film opening on December 15th.
Oh, wow. Today's July 15th. Today's July 15th. So that's, is that 5 months? 5 months, right?
6 months.
Isn't June 15th?
6 months.
June 15th to December is 6. Yeah, it's 5.
Oh my God,
months.
My mind is just blown.
5 months.
The Last Jedi. Wow.
5 months, and we are about 6 weeks from Force Friday 2. But
151 days
until The Last Jedi.
Until The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Wow. No, obviously the unlocks age-old mysteries of the Force and shocking revelations of the past.
Yeah. I think that the shocking revelations of the past could be something as simple as, like, what happened to Luke's Jedi Academy, what it is that caused Kylo Ren to turn to the dark side and destroy the Academy or whatever. And that would be, potentially shocking and something we obviously want to learn more about.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's I think that's almost like a given.
Yeah. But then the question remains, like, is that the shocking revelation that they're talking about here? Or is there something involving, like, Luke Skywalker? Or is there something involving a character or even something like the establishment of the Jedi that we don't know about that's going to like really turn things on their head. I don't know.
Like how far into the past are we talking? You know, are we talking the time between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens? Because that's, you know, that's technically the past here. Or are we talking, you know, back to the prequels? Is there something involving Watto that that we don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see Watto's Force Ghost on Octo, and it'll be revealed that he was the one who sort of pushed Anakin. I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know, but I mean, honestly, you know, one of the things we saw in our initial trailer for The Last Jedi is Luke looking at that ancient Jedi text, what we assume is an ancient Jedi text. And, you know, we learned from Han Solo in The Force Awakens that the reason Luke is on Ahch-To is he is searching out like the first Jedi temple. So it could be something as far back in the past as like, you know, having to do with the origin of the Jedi, potentially. I don't know. I don't know if that can be as shocking, though, as something involving a character that we think we know, and then we find out something about them that would really surprise us. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there is a certain amount of self-imposed, and then also a certain amount of like, you know, audience-imposed pressure to have a big shock in this movie. Again, like with it being the second film in a trilogy, and Empire, you know, having the shocking, you know, Luke, I'm your father moment and all that. Like, I don't know. I feel like there is some expectation, whether right or wrong, of, you know, shocking content here in The Last Jedi.
Maybe, but you know, I guess it's the curse of being a middle film in a trilogy. Because, you know, if everything is like wrapped up cleanly at the end of this film, then it's like, what is the point of, you know, episode 9 too? So yeah. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's kind of a place where in the prequel trilogy, the like, you know, they were kind of going for that with Attack of the Clones, and you know, the big I would say, at least personally, like my big takeaway, like the big kind of like sort of dark moment is you know, Anakin and Padme getting married in secret, and like kind of knowing like bad call, guys. It's gonna lead to some bad stuff. But yeah. I don't think that was quite as powerful as I mean, it definitely was not as powerful as like the revelation in you know, in Empire of Vader being Luke's father, and also like the unknown fate of Han Solo. I think those things combined. So, I mean, it'll be interesting how they do handle that here.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, we don't know what obviously we don't know what the shocking revelations are, but looking forward to that. But then what do you think is, you know, these age-old mysteries of the Force? I mean, I guess that just probably speaks to Luke studying the Jedi and the origin of the Jedi. Potentially, or, you know, I mean, maybe like those age-old mysteries are tied in with the shocking revelations. I guess it's sort of implied, maybe as I look at that sentence again, that they are kind of connected. But yeah, I mean, with Luke being there on Ahch-To studying the ancient Jedi texts, and you know, seeking out the first Jedi temple, it makes sense, I guess, that we would learn more about the mysteries of the Force.
Yeah, and I mean, there could be something like tainting the Jedi Order that could be discovered, that could, you know, kind of fundamentally change the way we think about the the Jedi Order, which actually, I mean, we already kind of got that in the prequels. We kind of saw some of the flaws within the Order, but there could be something more like fundamental to the origin of it.
Yeah, there could be, or I don't know if it's unlocking like age-old mysteries or whatever. I could see the potential there for like what he discovers on Octo about the Jedi Order sort of working in stark contrast to what we know the Jedi Order to be, like from the prequels and from Yoda and Obi-Wan, to the point where it's maybe like Luke learns like about the origins of the Jedi and thinks, like, realizes like, oh my God, what I have been taught the Jedi are is not what it started out. Like, that's not what the purpose of it was, you know, or something along those lines. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, I mean, this is what, a 2-sentence synopsis, really a 1-sentence synopsis, because the second sentence is just go watch it on this date, you know? So for a 1-sentence synopsis, I think what it tells us is like, this is part of the Skywalker saga, and you're going to learn about stuff from the past, and you're going to learn about like mystical elements of the Star Wars universe. So, you know, I mean, obviously it's going to be a lot more than that, but with only 1 sentence to sort of summarize the sort of thesis or whatever of The Last Jedi, that's what they focused on. Like, there's going to be some shocking revelations, and there's going to be some good mystical dogma or mystical, you know, kind of like mystical information, you know, mystical elements or whatever.
And what's interesting about that is like whatever Luke discovers, it almost seems like he can't do anything with it, because we know that he trains Rey to some degree in this. Or we're assuming that. So I wonder if it is a case of like, you know, he finds out these like fundamental principles of the Jedi Order that had been like lost to the sands of time, and you know, is like, I'm too old, I'm too broken to do this, I'm gonna pass it to you. Or, you know, as we saw in the you know, in the teaser trailer, like he could find this stuff out and then be like, we got to stop this.
Yeah, possibly.
Because I mean, what is the line in the teaser trailer?
It's time for the Jedi to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It could be. I was even just thinking though, like, just right now, I wonder if it could potentially have something to do with the prophecy of the Chosen One, you know, if they want to like tie in the prequel stuff that much, if they want to go into that, like, you know, like if it's a shocking revelation about the past, and it's something that is really tied into the Skywalker saga, you know, maybe we learn more about that prophecy, and maybe there's more to it than just like, there will be a chosen one that'll bring balance to the Force, you know, where there's something like, maybe it's like there will be a chosen one who'll bring balance to the Force, and then something about like the generation after that or whatever that like frightens Luke, or I don't know, something that where, you know, like what we understood about the chosen one could be tested, you know. They've kind of been toying with that chosen one thing a little bit in Star Wars canon recently, like with Star Wars Rebels and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess I don't really have much evidence or reason to think that it could be that, but it's possible. So, but I just think like mystical stuff, like a heavy emphasis on mysticism and the Force, and on expanding the lore through like learning about, you know, important stuff from the past. All that sounds really exciting. And it sounds like, I mean, that synopsis makes it sound like a weighty movie with some heavy themes and some like deep information. Not, you know, I think if they were to summarize The Force Awakens, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies and I love, but if they were going to summarize that 5 months before it came out, I think it would be, you know, probably the language would emphasize like the fact that it's like, classic Star Wars and new heroes off on like an adventure together or something like that. And this is like, you're going to learn about some serious, like heavy stuff related to the Force. And that sounds like what we want in a middle movie in a trilogy. And it's pretty exciting.
And I know we need to move on here, but not getting like too far ahead of ourselves or ahead of themselves. I wonder if now is the time to start planting the seeds for whatever the next saga trilogy is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are looking backwards, maybe they're looking really far backwards, like prequels, and maybe they're planting some of those seeds with like this could be the I fought beside your father in the Clone Wars line of of this trilogy. Or maybe I don't know, because I mean it's almost time to start thinking about that, and I'm sure those discussions are happening with the story group and everything.
Yeah, and that's a really compelling idea. The thought that perhaps when this trilogy wraps up, maybe not quite immediately, but in the relatively near future, a fourth trilogy of films could be set before the prequels. And then maybe 10 years after that, 15 years from now or whatever it is, 20 years from now, we come back to these characters and go forward again. But it does seem like a dilemma in terms of this trilogy wraps up. I think if episode 9 comes out in 2019 and then in 2021 they're like, well, here's episode 10 starring Rey, Finn, and Poe, that potentially takes some of the weight away from this trilogy, because it sort of stops being like an independent trilogy and is just like part of like this ongoing series of movies. Where if they step into a different time frame with the next trilogy, wait a little bit and then go to a different time frame, then it does sort of separate itself in a significant way. All very interesting things. Okay, so let's keep scrubbing through the trailer here, or the behind the scenes footage. Next thing we see is Kylo Ren on the bridge of a Star Destroyer. Classic pill lights in the background, looking very cool. But I think the exciting thing here, the interesting thing, of course, is he's wearing that Kylo Ren mask again. And probably not much reason to think he wouldn't, but he does drop it in The Force Awakens on that bridge, on that fateful bridge, and then we don't ever see him wear it again. So, and the only time we saw him in the trailer, he was without his mask. Although I guess we did see like a sort of destroyed version of his mask in that initial teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the mask back. I think it was a really great design. If you read The Art of the Force Awakens, which you did, they spent like, I think, a ton of time trying to develop just the right look for his mask. And obviously I think they nailed it. So
yeah, it's already pretty iconic.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to like try to redesign it for some reason or whatever. So I think
though we do see a little bit later here, we see a few masks.
Yeah. Well, I haven't paused on that too long yet, so I'll do that as we're scrubbing through.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll get more Adam Driver without his mask. Okay, got to go back here. Sorry. And this is one I actually am going to be sort of like staring at for the first time right now. But this shot with the red walls in the background.
Yeah, what is this?
I have some ideas. I don't know for sure. It's hard for me to talk about potentially though, because I haven't been reading a lot of Last Jedi spoilers, but I do see some of the like zoomed out, larger picture, big picture spoilers. And as you've already mentioned, I think the color red is going to be pretty significant in this movie. And I have heard about some characters that may be dressed in red. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about or not.
Like Crimson Guards?
Sort of like that, but not that. Yeah. So I feel like this room could be associated with Snoke potentially.
Okay.
And if you look, I mean, we would think it's something First Order related, right?
Yeah.
All red like this. It looks like a green screen room, but you know, they're not green screens; they're red. So I would think perhaps they are going to composite against those screens, like maybe like those, because the walls look really plain and bare, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about the special effects process to know. It seems like those walls are too red and too plain to just be the actual set dressing.
Mm.
So I don't know. Like, do they add decoration, objects, whatever, to those walls, like, but still maintain the color? I'm not sure. Or maybe it is just like smooth red walls. I don't know. But and I mean, that floor looks like a Star Destroyer or an Imperial floor too, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely an Imperial room, and everything seems to be moving toward the back of the room, and there even seems to be some kind of a platform there, right?
Yeah, like a throne, maybe.
So yeah, exactly. So I feel like this could potentially be Snoke's headquarters of some kind, whatever that is. And I don't know anything about like any kind of setting or anything like that from The Last Jedi. I just knew of characters that were deeply associated with that color of red. So, nothing too spoilery besides that. But yeah, I would guess maybe this is Snoke's location at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
Very Imperial, no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Very intriguing. Daisy Ridley talking about it being the second in trilogy. Looks like that's like behind the scenes of those X-Wings and A-Wings blowing up that we saw in that first teaser. I'm guessing.
So I think like here we're assuming that the Resistance base has been found by the First Order.
Yeah, seems very possible. Some kind of attack on probably their base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at that wall in the background, but yeah, it's probably the First Order base. It doesn't look like it doesn't really look like the
Resistance base.
Yes, I'm sorry, the Resistance base. That's what I meant. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily look like a ship of some kind. Probably more like a base, like the base on Dakar.
Yeah. And we do see BB-8 there.
Oh, is he there?
Next to the Black Squadron.
Yeah, next to Poe's X-Wing.
Is that Poe's?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I would think so, because he uses it on Takodana, and he uses it in the attack on Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. And I think, isn't he the only one with a black X-Wing in... Like, I know that the rest of his squadron, I think, are using...
They are called Black Squadron, right?
Yeah, they are. What about in the Poe Dameron comic? Did the...
God, I've read like the first 6 issues of that, and I don't even know.
Yeah,
that's probably Poe's X-Wing, yeah, especially if BB-8's hanging out there. We'll just assume that it is.
I think the other ones are blue and gray. Well, plus in the trailer, we see Poe running like in a very similar shot to this, with this a big explosion in a hangar or whatever. So
yeah,
I'm thinking that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would make perfect sense for the First Order to attack the Resistance base in this movie, since, we know in The Force Awakens that they have the coordinates for the base. So yeah, seems likely. Going on from there, we get a shot of, well, first off, I think maybe take a moment to recognize how cool Rian Johnson's sweater is there.
With the scorpion?
Is it a scorpion or a lobster? Scorpion?
Oh.
Whatever it is, it's cool. I don't know enough about my crustaceans or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to ask him what gang he belongs to.
Yeah, totally. But again, this location must be Resistance, like maybe a Resistance ship, though, because it's like the war room setting, but it looks different from the war room in the Resistance base in Force Awakens.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot brighter.
Mhm.
And that just may be the way it's, this is shot compared to the way it's shot in the film.
Yeah, but there's like vines all over the place and stuff in the Resistance base in Force Awakens.
True. This is really clean.
And even
But
it
we're
looks
only
like big
seeing
windows in the
one.
background too. Like
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is a ship.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is too. We see Leia from behind in the trailer, clearly in this setting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's cool. Daisy and John Boyega and Oscar Isaac looking super happy.
Yeah, having a laugh.
Having a laugh.
Slacking on set. They are not making a Star Wars here. They're just hanging out.
No, that should be fun to make a Star Wars, though, right? I think that's
it
what
should
they're doing.
be fun. And the new actress is there as well. She's right behind Daisy Ridley. What is her name?
Playing Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I know her name. I don't know.
It's totally, yeah. I don't have it either. But Rose, I guess we can say.
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes.
Marie Tran. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Marie Tran. So yeah. And then going forward a shot or two, we see a special effects guy holding what appears to be some sort of new stormtrooper weapon there, right? I don't know what that thing is.
Mountain climbing device.
Yeah, it's like got like teeth or something. Like, I don't know what that is, but definitely has a compelling look. Something very different from, because we see these troopers, some kind of special type of designation of trooper, I think, too, with the black like pauldron or shoulder.
I didn't notice that on the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, and even the helmet looks like maybe it's different, or that could just be the Episode 8, First Order trooper helmet. Although it really shouldn't be different if the movie, I guess we don't know for sure, but if most of the movie or all of the movie takes place like right after The Force Awakens, then the helmets should not have evolved too much, obviously. But yeah, different type of troop, I think. That's obviously a great tradition in Star Wars movies to have like new troops in most of the Star Wars movies. So I don't know what they're going to do with that contraption, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The Last Guardian creature. Are you there?
Yes. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Which is complimentary, right? Because that creature, Trico in The Last Guardian, very compelling. And this character, I mean, and that's completely digitally animated. And this is a, physical, animatronic, creature of some kind, and very emotive. Like the facial expression there is extremely emotive, I think, and emotional.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah. It looks sad.
Yeah. Then we get to see one with no face on it, which is creepy.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Yeah. And then the next one.
Yeah.
Like
looks like one of those
icicle helmet.
Yeah, it looks like one of those tinsel Christmas trees, but like a wolf at the same time. Yeah, and then I love this too. We see like the scuba gear shot, and then Rey diving into water. I just like a cool action sequence involving the ocean around Ahch-To. Sounds pretty sweet to me, I think. A couple other creatures. Lupita Nyong'o.
Wait, before we get to her, I love this little guy. This is like obviously on the casino planet, but he's like a
on a table.
Yeah, he's like a dude on the table in like some nice dress there, and he's, I don't know, scooping up chips or something. I don't know. He's cool.
He's awesome, and I'm sure like he's got to be something that's probably in there for like one frame, like 2 seconds. Like,
yeah, this is the entirety of.
Yeah, we probably saw his entire appearance, right? Yeah, totally.
But he's great.
Yeah, he's very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then we do see Lupita Nyong'o, Maz Kanata again. We knew she was going to be in the movie, but there was that small controversy there for a minute, like maybe last summer or earlier this year, when she had said like she hadn't shot her scenes yet, and then a couple weeks later she's like, I don't know where that came from. I've totally done my stuff for Last Jedi, so I don't know. But she's in the movie, so I'm actually really excited to see where and how Maz Kanata plays into The Last Jedi. I'm guessing maybe, similar size role to Force Awakens. I don't think we'll probably get a ton of her. But I am excited for whatever they want to give us in terms of Maz Kanata.
Yeah, she's so great.
Then we get a shot of Admiral Holdo, I believe is her name.
Laura Dern's character.
Laura Dern's character. I think talking to Leia.
Seems like it.
Yeah, warm expression on her face, purple hair.
She looks really cool.
We know so little about her character, though, so
yeah.
I don't think we learned anything. And she was at the panel today.
Oh, really?
Laura Dern. Yeah, Laura Dern was there, and so was Benicio del Toro.
I did see a picture with him in it. Yeah.
But I don't, as far as anything I read, it doesn't sound like they had a chance to do much besides, smile and wave. But they're right outside of LA, so I guess it's probably easy to get people to show up.
Yeah.
All right. We have Kelly Marie Tran there talking about how complex the characters are, how it's Star Wars and it's awesome, but also complex characters, rich character development, etc. So that's cool.
And also, then going into the next thing, also hot characters. Because look at, okay, just pause at like 1:15 and just look at that smoldering shot of Poe Dameron here.
Yeah.
Like straight up like
Top
Tom
Gun.
Cruise in Top Gun. It's that is a great shot.
It is awesome. And in fact, like, if you look really closely, I guess you can tell it's an X-Wing, but like it almost just looks like he's in like an F-15 or something, like you take that Rebel insignia off his shoulder and you could be like, oh, did you know Oscar Isaac's in Top Gun 2? He's also in that movie. And I'd be like, oh, there's a shot from that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, but I think Star Wars fandom's infatuation with Oscar Isaac / Poe Dameron as a sex symbol is not going anywhere based on what we see.
No, because there's another shot too that I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This dude's not just hanging out eating Cheetos.
Deep cut, but I do know the photo you're talking about. We have Donald Gleason. He's back as General Hux. That's all we get. A little, quite a bit of time in this short behind the scenes reel talking about how bad Rian Johnson's Chewbacca impression is. It is astoundingly bad. It's
really bad.
It's incredibly bad. But
I think it was worth taking the time to point out.
Well, it's also worth it because we get that like really great Chewbacca roar there when you get the real deal.
Like, this is how it's done.
Right. So that's cool. Chewbacca's kind of a major star of this behind the scenes thing, actually, between the braiding of the hair, the campfire, and then that roar.
Yeah.
He's
that's true. That's true.
He's one of the standouts. He's one of the highlights. Very cool shot of Rey running. I think we've already kind of seen that. Phasma, very cool. And what are her comments here? Gwendolyn Christie, she's saying, the storyline's more established, and so we're like really learning more about these new characters in this movie.
Oh yeah,
which is obviously what you want and what you expect in the middle part of the trilogy, because Force Awakens was so much about introducing us to these characters, and then as Rian Johnson has said, and we've talked about before on the show, Last Jedi is about putting them up against the greatest possible challenge he could think of for each of them to face. So we're going to learn about who they are for sure.
Next shot, we have a new sort of vehicle in the Star Wars saga. It appears to be a ship with a whirling lightsaber on top.
Wait, what are you talking about?
There's a helicopter.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, there is. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a resistance
Right.
transport or first order, but
Right.
orange and blue.
Right. And our friend Chris, who is often on the Blockade Runner podcast here, I don't know how he's going to take to that because he was not happy about the helicopter shot at the end of The Force Awakens. So I would imagine there's a camera attached to that thing somewhere.
Probably going to shoot some video, yeah.
Yeah, could be. Well, we've already seen at least one helicopter shot in the teaser already, and it is awesome. So I'm okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's cool. And just cool shots of characters we know here, C-3PO and R2-D2. Let's pause, Ryan, if you're there, on the image of Luke with the sort of circular bounce board and the big boom mic there in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Because
okay. I was again paused on a Poe Dameron.
Oh, well.
He just had that like little subtle turn.
I mean, if we pause every time we're excited by a Poe Dameron shot, we're going to be here all night, Ryan. So
That's true. Okay, I'm at the Luke shot now.
No, but Luke, I think this one's significant because he's wearing, I think, like clothes that are completely different from what he's wearing at other points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's much to be made about what he's wearing. It's just like, dark brown, and maybe gray kind of tunic and robe and stuff like that. But I don't know if these are like, do you think these are his like traveling clothes? Like that robe he was wearing in The Force Awakens, I don't know if you want to travel long distances in that thing. That's more like maybe your meditation robe or like, sort of like praying at the temple type thing.
Mm-hmm.
This might be his out and about, like his hiking gear or something, or it could be his...
he's got like a satchel.
Yeah. Could be his leaving the Jedi or leaving Octo gear. You know what I mean? Leaving the temple, leaving Octo. I don't know.
Maybe like inconspicuous gear. Maybe if he's going to some place with civilization, he doesn't want to be wearing like an old school vintage Jedi robe.
Yeah, that's a good point. He looks less monkish here, right? Less like, yeah, definitely like he could fit in a little more in the Star Wars universe and what he's wearing here.
Yeah.
So, and it hopefully that means we're gonna get at least one more toy as well, like, or I mean, like at least two Luke Skywalker toys for in the Last Jedi.
I think we'll get at least 2 Luke Skywalker toys.
Yeah, but I thought we were going to get some for The Force Awakens, and we didn't. But
there's been enough that have rolled out by now. Well, actually, you know what?
There's been 0.
Yeah.
There's been
none.
Yeah,
you're right.
There hasn't even like, SH Figure Arts and the other, like, as far as I know, I don't even think they have any yet, do they?
Is there?
They may have revealed an image, or maybe Gentle Giant has something.
Yeah, they have I think someone has like the super nice like $300 one.
Yes, and I think, and then there's the Funko Pop.
Yes, and is there maybe a Disney Store metal one?
Maybe at Comic-Con. I know there's maybe. I don't think so though. I think that the sequel trilogy Comic-Con. Well, I don't know. I know there's like a couple 2-packs of Disney Elite, like the die-cast or metal figures for Comic-Con. And I know there's a 2-pack with Rey and Kylo Ren that's coming out next week. And then there probably is a Luke, but I don't know if it's the sequel trilogy Luke or not. In any case, like what I care about, primarily is the 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah, there really isn't one, and there's no Black Series figure.
Right.
Either.
So I think my best guess is that they got the clearance to design the figure and actually got the, reference material they would need to design the figure so late into the process that it would have been like basically Rogue One territory almost by the time that figure came out. And maybe they thought, let's just hold on to it and make it a big, big deal with Last Jedi. That's the only thing that really kind of makes sense to me. And it is going to be a big deal for me on September 1st when I'm able to buy that figure.
Yeah,
it's somehow not a part of the first wave of 3 3/4 inch figures for The Last Jedi. I will be very upset. But
yeah,
I think we're
going to be fighting people in Target toy aisles
Oh,
for that,
man.
because that is what everyone's going to be going for.
Can you imagine if they short pack that figure?
Oh my god! No matter how many they pack, it's going to be short packed.
Yeah,
because
no,
everyone wants that. It's Hot Toys that made the 1/6 scale.
Oh, Hot Toys does have one. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see a price attached to that?
No, but I'm sure it's like $200 or $300.
Yeah, pretty expensive. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, we see another, very sort of, maybe dire is not the right word, but intense shot of General Leia. And then I think the next one is really interesting because maybe they're not filming this. I guess it seems like they're just kind of talking to him, but we see John Boyega, Finn's pod, his like medical pod or whatever, opening up. So it must do that in the movie. I don't think they would have designed it to like flip open like that if it wasn't going to happen. So, and we already said, we kind of know he's going to get out of there. So, yeah. Shot after that is Phasma with a whole mess of First Order stormtroopers with her. I feel like this could be attack on the Jedi Temple, or it could be something totally different. I don't know. But
yeah, it's impossible. Well, I don't know. You can kind of look at the ground, and the ground looks more like concrete. It doesn't look like a rocky, hilly type ground. But
okay, so you're thinking like not Octo.
Yeah, maybe like the attack on the Resistance base.
Yeah, although, I think, we don't really know very much about where Luke's Jedi Temple is either. I don't know if I don't know if Phasma was a part of that attack on the Jedi Academy. I guess she probably wasn't. It was probably just Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren. So then we get some stunt shots, which are very cool. See a little more of that casino planet. Some other crazy aliens.
Whoa. Let's see, 143.
Yeah, character sliding there.
Yeah, who is that?
Who and where, right?
Yeah.
I think it might be Poe Dameron.
The hair makes me think Poe Dameron, but...
Yeah, let me watch it one more time. Yeah, you don't get much. I'm thinking Poe Dameron. And I'm also, again, I'm wondering, like, I think that's like basically matte painting in the background or something, right? Like that doesn't look like an actual location. So maybe it's a matte painting. I don't know. It looks like it could be a real place, but it doesn't. You can kind of tell. I feel like, especially in this more raw footage, that's not where he really is. He's on a sound stage,
Yeah.
I guess that's not really significant. I don't know why I point that out, but maybe it's crate, looks a little red, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's behind the scenes. So I'm really thinking with my behind the scenes, mentality.
Film school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But,
okay. So now we got this dude flying through the casino. We know nothing about this. There's just a dude upside down flying through a casino. And then there's a bunch of like weird frogmen who appear to be very happy about this.
Yeah. If those things are connected. I don't know if they're connected or not necessarily, right? Like
yeah. But it's kind of weird to show a shot of like someone flying through the air and then like people looking up. Like you kind of think it's connected.
That's true.
In the same setting.
That's true, unless it's connected to the next shot, because it almost looks like that little frog guy looks over at Kathleen Kennedy, like they're having a conversation or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see, John Boyega now talking about things being shifted in ways that are not what you'd expect, right? So
yeah, there's that promise again.
Yep, exactly. We see a cool shot of Rose there. And then we see the only shot, I believe, that we've gotten of Benicio del Toro. And I can't make out much about him based on what I'm seeing here.
All I know is BB-8 is peeking at him.
No. Are you serious? Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. The very
My QuickTime progress bar was covering that up. But yeah, BB-8's down there in the right corner or right-hand side. Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The shot following that is a shot of a Resistance gunner. And I've seen talk online that this is Rose's sister.
Yes, I saw that as well.
Yeah, so we don't know much about her either, but that should be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill looking extremely happy on set as Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker. That is heartwarming. I don't think that's in character, but it sure is nice to see.
Uh-huh.
And cool, you know, fight footage with Adam Driver here.
Yeah, taking on multiple comers.
Looking pretty ripped. We get Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley and Ryan Johnson and another production member singing together, looking really happy. Finn wearing Poe's jacket, so I guess he held on to that.
Yep.
You know what? That shot of the crew running down the hall with BB-8 there, following that, I'm going to pause there for a second. That looks like the same place where we just saw Benicio del Toro. And I don't know what kind of ship that is, but that looks like the same setting, I think. The walls and everything is like very similar colors, and the design looks really similar. So I think that's the same place. There is some kind of like light explosion there in the background, so I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, and when I see like people running down a hallway wheeling something, I'm picturing like a hospital.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if this is like a medical frigate.
Yeah, that could be. That absolutely could be. Yeah, very interesting. And we get a shot of a speeder of some kind here. Based on the way the driver and passenger look, I'm guessing this is on that casino planet as well.
Yeah.
But it looks really interesting. How would you describe the look of this thing?
Well, I can't even describe it in my own words now because I read Anthony Bresnikan's thing on EW.
Oh, okay.
And he, I think, like nailed it. That it's this is a first order vehicle that could be Hux driving it, and with all the kind of fascist imagery we see with the First Order, this vehicle is shares similarities to the car that Hitler drove.
Oh wow!
Rode in.
Okay.
And that was from Anthony Bresnikan's bit over at EW. So that's all I can think about here is that.
That it seems like I had not thought of that, obviously, but it seems impossible to believe that that's not what they're going for there, right? After, yeah, I mean, it would be crazy for it to be a coincidence that it has that kind of resemblance and look, and that does look a lot like Hux in that ship. So, all right, I think by we I mean Anthony Bresnikan at EW.com. I think we really cracked this one. So very cool. All right, I can't remember who tweeted it. I think I actually retweeted it from our Blockade Runner account. So whoever it was, I tried to give credit that way, but shortly after the trailer or the behind the scenes image came out, somebody tweeted out this image and was like, "Oh, Rey taking on maybe multiple members of the Knights of Ren in this shot," and I was mind blown. Seems very likely. Could be stormtroopers with, like we already saw stormtroopers with those weird weapons. It could be all kinds of things, but that's where my mind is now. And the Knights of Ren, that is such obviously a huge question looming over like current Star Wars. What is the deal with them? Are they presently existing, or are they a thing of the past? Why don't we see them in The Force Awakens? Like Kylo Ren, he's on Jakku attacking that village. he lands on Takodana in that battle, and you never see the Knights of Ren with him. So if they're not with him, where are they? How will they potentially fit into this story? I think almost for sure, we'll see them in a flashback to the attack on Luke's Jedi Temple or Jedi Academy or whatever. But Rey wouldn't be there. So again, if this is her actually fighting multiple associates of Kylo Ren, I am so curious to see how that all shakes out and how that comes to be.
I can't remember. Do they actually say the phrase Knights of Ren in The Force Awakens?
Yeah, Snoke says, "Even you, master of the Knights of Ren."
Okay. I couldn't remember. But...
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely all over the visual dictionary and stuff like that.
Right, that's where most of my exposure to it has been. So okay.
Yeah. Yep. All right, cool. So we get a couple more shots. A shot of, I think, Daisy Ridley or her stunt double, doing a fall or a dive, which is cool. Some other weird aliens. We have to pause on the, I believe they're called Porgies. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, the little penguin adipose.
Yeah.
Cutie pies.
And again, this is spoiler territory. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry if this is too spoilerific for people, but I've been hearing about these guys, and I feel like they're just sort of discussed openly at this point on Twitter. And I initially read about this on Making Star Wars, so again, credit to them. But I think that these creatures are meant to be all over Ahch-To. And perhaps are these actually, now that I think about it, this was addressed in Vanity Fair, wasn't it? Are these the creatures that Luke has, they populate Ahch-To and potentially even are kind of serving Luke in some capacity?
Okay. Yeah, we talked about this when we talked about the Vanity Fair.
Okay. I think I know I had already read about those creatures a little bit on Making Star Wars, but I forgot that it had been confirmed. So not really a spoiler at all, unless you're avoiding everything, in which case don't listen to a podcast where we spend over an hour going through this video, right?
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. But they are helplessly, not helplessly, but super adorable, right? I feel like this is one of the big wins from this video is people love these Porgies. I love these Porgies.
Yeah. Are Porgs, not Porgies.
Porgies.
You were thinking about a combination of
Porgs and Porkies?
A corgi and a pierogi.
No.
But these are Porgs, and they are, and this is again from the Anthony Breznican piece, that they flock on the Jedi sacred world of, and we're saying it Ahch-To.
Yes.
Ahch-To?
No,
Ahch-To?
not Ahch-To.
Ahch-To.
I think Ahch-To. I think Ahch-To. I think Ahch-To.
Okay.
Yeah.
And keep Luke Skywalker company in his self-imposed exile.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. These are maybe Ewoks for the next generation, but probably not playing such an integral role. But I would like to think that, I would imagine that Ahch-To is a very special planet in terms of the Force and things like that. And I would like to think that these creatures, maybe spiritually speaking, or in terms of a connection to the Force, are special in some way. But I don't know that. I just seems like a possibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder how many of these things there are. How many of these actual physical animatronic Porgs there are? Because you would think if there's going to be a bunch of them off in the distance or something, they could probably do those in CG and do the ones that are more up close, maybe animatronically.
Yeah.
Finn seeming to be in a prison cell here.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what that's about. Ryan Johnson talking about how he hopes the movie is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to skip this shot of Rose and Finn
In Imperial garb.
Yeah.
Not Imperial. First Order.
First Order garb. And doesn't it? It's extremely reminiscent of a similar shot in Rogue One, right? Of Cassian and Jyn.
Oh, yeah.
And with K2, I think K2 was with them too, but like it looks almost just like that to me. So, you know, I guess they probably just had an undercover shot or an undercover sequence in both movies. But yeah, similar vibes there for sure.
Star Wars tradition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and we know that Finn and Rose are going to spend significant time together on some kind of adventure in the movie. So I think we're seeing some of that here. Then we get some of the Kylo Ren helmets on the table. One being more smashed, like kind of dented and smashed than the others. I think. I'm assuming they're the same otherwise, but this one's kind of dented and smashed. We've seen some of that in the teaser trailer already.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we see a copy of the right next to the smashed helmet. There's a copy of the visual guide.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back. You've got an eye for this, Ryan. I would have never noticed that. Let's see.
It's right there.
No, I would have never noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Maybe that is the shocking revelation in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is all just some crap from a book that Pablo Hidalgo wrote.
That's awesome.
What we're doing here.
Wow. Yeah. I wonder. I mean, obviously, just using it for reference, probably, but you would think they would have like very. I mean, obviously, they have like, you know, extremely specific 3D, you know, blueprints and molds and all that stuff. So, I don't know, but it's cool. Okay, some A-wings on fire. A character, maybe Rose, or maybe I think Rose's sister. It seems like, or just somebody who wears similar, you know, garb. Is that like falling through like a whole like storeroom of thermal detonators? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah, probably not gonna work out well.
Oh man, heartbreaking, but very beautiful. A little moment here with Carrie Fisher and Oscar Isaac and Mary Lou Hamill. But really, like Oscar Isaac, they're hugging and kissing Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful moment. A line that makes me really happy. We're getting towards the end here, but a line that makes me really happy. Gwendolyn Christie talking about how it's a story, a classic story of good against evil. I think that there's going to be definitely some tendency or some likelihood of like exploring, you know, kind of the middle ground. You know, we're like immediately we see a shot of Kylo Ren after that. Kylo Ren, obviously an evil or dark character, but some speculation of like, is he redeemable, etc. All that stuff I think is going to be really interesting and compelling, but I don't want it to get too far away from Star Wars being a story of good and evil, you know, like with Luke Skywalker potentially wanting to leave the Jedi Order or whatever it may be, like all that stuff, conflict, etc. We've talked about this ad nauseum in the past, but like conflict, etc. is good. Exploring things on a deeper level, looking at, you know, things on a deeper level is great, but I do want it to remain a story about good and evil.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren looks cool. Haircut maybe slightly evolved here. I don't know. It looks a little more windswept to me. Maybe a little more pulled over to one side, but I guess that doesn't matter. Rey doing some stunts. Cool shots of the casino planet.
Yeah, this looks awesome.
Very creeped out by the dude with the huge eyebrows and the weird shaped head there.
Oh my god, he looks like he's wearing like a mask or something.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Like most of these aliens and creatures look, you know, extremely realistic and believable or whatever you want to say. This one just looks like some like David Lynch type, like we're going to creep you out, like find someone to wear like a real creepy mask that doesn't quite fit their face, like just to scare you.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what that red room is.
Oh man, yeah, very good point. Yeah, I don't know. And see a porg on a rock there. Billy Lord, Carrie Fisher's daughter. Of course, we knew she would be back in the movie. Explosions. Really awesome shot of Finn and Rey doing awkward dance moves.
Super awkward.
Super awkward. Maybe that's on Crate. I don't know. It looks snowy.
Because isn't it like a white planet that has the red explosions?
Yeah, it's like there's like a white layer of like salt, I think, over the red clay kind of dirt surface. So it could be there. You know, if it was Force Awakens, I'd say, oh, yeah, it's Star Killer base. But I'm assuming it can't be that. So yeah. But the other notable thing here is Rey's clothing, because this is different than what she wears in The Force Awakens, and it's sort of beige, dark brown, and a gray color. Similar colors to what Luke Skywalker is wearing in that earlier shot when he's wearing his traveling gear. So yeah, obviously this is not Octo, or I think pretty obviously. So I guess she changes clothes if she's going to travel as well. More. Oh my God, the shot of Rey with the robe on and the lightsaber held above her head. That is like wish fulfillment city. Like, you know, this is the shot that Lucasfilm Disney chose to be the sort of key image for the like the YouTube video. And I would imagine this will be used in promotional stuff quite a bit, because it is just everything you want in a Star Wars movie all right there in one shot, right?
Yeah, packaging on the toys, hopefully.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got the lightsaber, which is awesome. You've got the Jedi robe, and with her having the hood over her head, it really kind of, to me, it emphasizes the whole Jedi thing, which is awesome. But then it's like dark in a cave or something, so there's that little, you know, there's a little bit of danger there as well. So super exciting. And she kind of looks like I don't know if you're getting this, but it reminds me of Anakin, maybe Anakin and Obi-Wan, but like specifically Anakin from the prequels. Maybe like Anakin in Attack of the Clones when he's fighting Dooku in the dark there, and he holds the saber like in a very similar way to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think everybody loves that shot. It's amazing. And Carrie Fisher, beautiful moment here. She says it's about family, and that's what's so special about it. And then you see her kind of doing almost like maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's almost like a wave, kind of like a see you later sort of thing there. So very nice moment there. Cool to hear that it's about family. I mean, that could be family in terms of like Luke and Leia. That could be family in terms of like Rey and whoever her family is. And I think for sure, certainly family in terms of the way like Luke, Han, and Leia were a family in the prequel, or I mean in the original movies, and the way that the characters that grow really close to one another can be like family in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's almost it. We get the logo.
and then we get the money shot at the end.
Yeah. You get the Akbar, at least the Mon Calamari character there, holding the Falcon clapper, whatever plate thing, which is nice.
And he says, "It's a wrap."
It's a wrap. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Think about that. Yeah, that's funny. All right, cool. So we talked about that exhaustively, I think, don't you?
Yeah, probably a little too much.
We spent a long time talking about that. So we'll have to maybe talk about some of this other stuff quickly. What do you think?
Yeah, let's just power through.
Okay. So the Last Jedi posters, very cool. Everybody's wearing red. and we don't know why. We just know that red is obviously the sort of like thematic or the important color here for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They
So
are awesome.
red can mean blood and death. Red can mean something buried on that planet where all the red stuff comes out, or red could mean Sith, dark side.
Mm-hmm. Or just passion, yeah, too. But yeah,
Passion.
for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. They are cool posters, for sure. A lot of the characters are very robed looking, like Luke and Rey, of course, but then even like Kylo and Leia, I feel, have a pretty like kind of robed look. So again, you know, with that shot of Rey with the hood on and all the shots we see of like Luke Skywalker and everything, I just feel like definitely that sort of like mystic, you know, quality is going to be a big part of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
What do you think? Should we skip this story about the post-credit scene potentially paying tribute to Carrie Fisher?
I don't know anything about this. What is like the gist?
Just basically, there's a guy who put up a YouTube video. I will link to the story in the notes, but claims that he has heard word from Pinewood and his inside sources that there's going to be a post-credit scene in The Last Jedi that will pay tribute to Carrie Fisher in some way, that John Williams has written original score for this moment, and that it will be a little thing that they show that will leave fans teary-eyed as they leave The Last Jedi. I thought it was an interesting idea, and you know, I remember all the word about like the post credit scene in The Force Awakens that was going to set up Rogue One, you know, like this far before Force Awakens. It would be interesting. I think the whole movie is going to pay tribute to Carrie Fisher. A post credit scene would be a weird thing to do in Star Wars, but I mean, I'm not against it. It sounds cool, but I just thought it was an interesting idea. Let's put it that way. I'm not including it because I think it's necessarily likely, or that, you know, the source that's putting this out there is, you know, legit. Just a compelling idea. But
yeah,
I'll link to it in the show notes, and people can look that up if they're interested. Battlefront 2. There was some time spent on that in the panel, the Disney Games panel. I did not get to watch the panel. You, I think, did live stream the panel, right?
I did. I watched all of it. Yeah.
So how much time was spent on Battlefront 2 outside of this like 5-minute video? Or is this the gist of it?
Probably about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So it was like, it was one of those things where that just shows me how like out of touch with the modern video game industry I am, because whoever the head of like the Disney like digital content person, whatever, he came out and like, you know, was like, we're going to talk about Battlefront and Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts 3. And then he's like, but instead of me talking about these, I have 2 people for you who may know a little bit more about this stuff. And then like he introduced these 2 people I'd never heard of before, and like the crowd just went nuts. And apparently they're like YouTube personalities. I couldn't even tell you their names now, but so that was kind of how it started, and I'm like, oh man, this is so not for me. But then but they ended up being like pretty good hosts for the things. They you know, this was kind of Disney's first time doing like an E3 style press conference for their games. So there were definitely like, you know, they haven't had the years of like stumbling and making mistakes that like companies like Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft and EA and Ubisoft have had, where with like awkward conference stuff. So there were definitely some awkward moments throughout this bit. But the hosts like did a good job kind of recovering from those. So it ended up working out pretty nice, and it was more elaborate than I expected. But specifically on the Battlefront 2 stuff, they brought out the actress who plays the the main character, what is her name? Idia?
Yeah, Aiden.
Yeah.
Close,
Okay.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It starts with an I. So they brought her out, and someone on the development team, and she was just a delight. She was just super enthusiastic, and it felt pretty sincere. So she was having a lot of fun with it, and then let's see. Then I believe they showed the behind the story video, and kind of what we got here in the video was um, we got a little bit more background on her squad mates uh, and her relationship with her father. Because as you kind of know, if you've been following this game at all, you're playing as um, the I don't know what her rank is in Inferno Squad. Is she like the commander of Inferno Squad?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Uh, and it's like basically a spec ops team for stormtroopers, and she's had like a lifetime of loyalty to the Empire. The Empire has done well for her, and then kind of the pivotal scene that we've seen, in previews of this game is her and her squad watching the second Death Star blow up and receiving news of the Emperor's death and how she reacts to that. But we found out a little bit more about like her squad members and their personalities in this, and then also her relationship to her father, who appears to be like a high ranking uh, figure within the Empire. So I don't think at least I didn't know that prior to this. So that was all pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. And my takeaway from watching the behind the story video, as they call it, is just, and we've known this, but just how much thought and effort and time is going into crafting this story. And Star Wars video game stories are usually, I shouldn't say usually, but sometimes they're pretty solid and pretty engaging, and sometimes they're not the best. But I have high hopes for this story. I think it should be really strong. And then there's at least one more Star Wars game coming down the line that I think should have a really strong story as well, and that's the one that Amy Hennig is leading up. But I guess my point here is that the big thing I took away from this, besides like the details about the relationships between the characters and things like that, is it does not feel in any way like an afterthought, the single player campaign. And that's what I would be worried about with Battlefront 2, since Battlefront didn't really have a single player campaign in any way. That was a big complaint. But so I could see the possibility with a Battlefront 2 where it's like, oh yeah, we put one of those in there. You know what I mean? So you have that, like you could do that, like, or whatever. But like, since the focus of the original game was so much on online multiplayer, I could see Battlefront 2 being a scenario, like I said, where, well, it's still focused on that, but we did make a thing on the side that you can do for single player, so you're not complaining about that. It doesn't seem that way at all. It seems like a huge focus of this game is to create a really rich and thought out and compelling single player, kind of campaign. And to me, I'm excited about the story, but it's almost more the fact that this story has had this much thought put into it tells me that the single player aspect of the game is important and a significant part of the game. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and the fact that they have an entirely separate studio, Motive Studios, working on the single player part, so that it's not just like DICE over there working on the multiplayer parts and being like, okay, a few of you guys go over there and do that single player thing. Oh wait, we need you back here because we need to balance the multiplayer. But they have a totally separate studio. And again, I gushed about this on our original Battlefront 2 episode, but the fact that they have from Spec Ops: The Line in there kind of shows me that they're pretty serious about this, because that is one of like the best written video games of the previous generation.
Yeah, so Battlefront 2 comes out in November, and there is a beta in October. Is that correct?
Something like that.
I think that's the case.
But something else real quick before we move on. So I think it was after they showed the video, they kind of made me panic for a moment, because they're like, we're going to take a live caller now. And so, which is something that gives me great anxiety in these sort of situations. So they call and they're like, okay, are you on the line? And they're like, oh, we got John on the line here. And then like the guy starts talking, and it's like this thick English accent, and not thick, but in English accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's weird for like a dude to be calling in this like event taking place in California. But okay. And then eventually it's quickly revealed that it's John Boyega, and he comes out on the stage, and that was really cool. And he talked about like how he had back in the day tweeted at EA asking for a single player mode in Battlefront. And he's like, I tweeted to them, and now it's happening. And it was pretty fun. We got to watch him playing a little bit of the game as well. So,
and he was playing a little bit of the single player game, or not
it
sure?
Seemed to be, yeah, some space combat parts. So
okay, cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it was a nice little it was like obviously super scripted and whatever, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I am really excited for Battlefront 2, and I need to get back in and play some more of the original Battlefront here.
I know, we still got to do that.
I haven't done it, so hopefully we will soon, and if we do, maybe we'll record that for our YouTube channel. We'll see. But the last thing here is some pretty big news about the Disney Parks initiative for Star Wars, what we had been referring to as Star Wars Land, which we now know as Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And, I think there's going to be opportunities for us to talk more about this as the months and years go on. And, obviously I can't wait to go visit this park when it opens, but we found out the name. We found out it's called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think we basically already knew this, but we found out it's a planet on the edge of wild space. And I think the idea there is that it's a planet we did not know about. It hasn't been in any movies or anything, so that it won't become outdated. If they made it themed about Jakku, well, once we kind of get a couple movies away from Jakku, then it feels like an old thing versus, this planet, which is, I think, being designed just for this park. To feel very Star Warsy, but hopefully in a kind of timeless way where it's not too attached to any one Star Wars movie or story. Some of the stuff, though, that's really exciting is like the experience at the park will emphasize living your own Star Wars adventure. 2 major attractions will put guests in the middle of a battle between the First Order and the Resistance. So the idea, I think, is that you're going to feel like you're really kind of on this planet and experiencing the battles and things that might happen there. Trying to create at least somewhat immersive experience at the park. That sounds really fun, I think.
But like, wouldn't a planet at the edge of the galaxy be free from such strife and turmoil?
I don't think so. Not necessarily, because, well, I mean,
it's just like when we think about like Outer Rim planets and stuff, it's like, well, yeah, the Empire's not really here because it's the Outer Rim, and the Rebels aren't really here either. Like, that's kind of what, like, that was kind of what I thought when I heard like Galaxy's Edge. But I mean, suspension of disbelief is also okay.
Yeah. Well,
For this.
sure. It's a fair point, though. I mean, Luke says that in A New Hope, right? Like, I don't know, the Empire is so far away from here or whatever. Right? Like, talks about how like it barely affects him because it's so far away and all that, you know. Yeah, for sure. But I think I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my. I think I am getting my terminology mixed up here. I was gonna say like I think Snoke is from like wild space, but it's the unknown regions. I think they say that Snoke and the First Order kind of like hung out in the unknown regions to sort of like build up without being discovered. That's not the same thing as wild space. So yeah, point taken. They are going to do an attraction that is the biggest in scale ever at Disney parks, which will make you feel like you are in the hangar of a Star Destroyer. So probably just like a massive space that's designed to look like a Star Destroyer. Sounds pretty exciting. We already knew about the Millennium Falcon attraction, in which you'll feel like you're piloting the Falcon, shooting blasters and jumping to light speed. But again, I think this is cool. Like how you perform on this ride or attraction or whatever you want to call it is going to like follow you through your day at the park. So you can earn extra credits, quote unquote. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but you could also end up like being trailed by a bounty hunter because you mess something up or whatever. So I know I've heard about like Disney parks having some kind of like electronic card that you keep on you or some electronic device of some kind that you like swipe at all these different places you go. So things can sort of be tailored to your sort of like story or whatever it is that you have going throughout the day. So I don't know. This stuff sounds, I mean, obviously I don't really know exactly how it's going to work, but it sounds pretty elaborate in terms of trying to like immerse you in the Star Wars like experience.
Yeah.
And who knows how, I mean, I can't really envision how this is going to work, especially like I'll go with my kids, you know, so are there going to be like stormtroopers like trying to like point blasters at my kids and like, I don't know. I'm sure that they have a way of doing this that's really cool and at least kind of immersive. So
yeah.
That all sounds really cool. Obviously, we've all seen like the photos and even video footage of the model with like a huge, you know, Millennium Falcon and TIE Fighter, and there's X-Wings and A-Wings parked there, and like just all kinds of amazing, I think, things to view and look at. I don't know if you saw the latest video, Ryan. It's like a flyover of the 3D model.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool at the end when it sort of like transitioned into
like something real. Yeah.
Like a 3D render of what it would look like if you were there or whatever. It kind of really gave me the idea of what it might look like, not on a model, but if I was actually there walking around. And it was pretty cool.
So yeah, like I'm already like kind of thinking about this, and I'm like kind of like already stressed out about like Bosk following me around at this place, or Dengar or something. I wonder if there's like tiers of it, that how much you opt in to the immersive experience, because like I picture you know, when I go to, when, you know, when I was like younger, like a teenager and stuff, and like I would go to like a haunted house or something, and like like someone would jump out and you'd be like, okay, and then they'd like keep following you and getting in your face and stuff. I'm like, I don't like this, stop. Like
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, I could see it being something like you sit down at the like restaurant or whatever there, and your waiter addresses you a certain way because of like whatever affiliation you have, or, you know, they get some kind of quick, you know, like they have like 3 different scripts they do depending on what your like digital code sort of tells them about your experience or something, things like that. It could be like, hey, if you're on, they won't call it Main Street, whatever the Star Wars version of that is, like at 2:00, there's going to be a battle between like, you know, the First Order and the Resistance. And based on like what you did, you're on one of the sides. I don't know. Cause it's, I mean, if they're going to, let's say they're going to have 10,000 people at this park every day, they're not going to have like 5,000 staff or whatever, like dedicated to making sure every single person gets trailed by Dengar. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it'll work out. But the fact that that's what they're going for is pretty cool, I think, you know. I don't know. I think it sounds pretty intriguing, at least we'll say that.
Yeah, and I think like one of the next parts here when we're talking about the resort and how they use kind of like immersion there, this is like way more interesting to me, and
Hmm.
I'm like so much more down with this. So there's the resort, which is separate from the park. This is something you can opt to stay at. I'm guessing it's not like you buy into both, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, yeah, certainly I think you could just buy a ticket to go to the park that day, or you could get a package where you stay at the hotel and go to the park. I don't know if you could book, I don't know how Disney resorts work. I don't know if you could just like, I just want to go like get a room at the Disney resort and hang out for the night. You know, maybe you can.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but obviously the idea is like families are going to travel to Orlando or, you know, Anaheim and go to the park and need a place to stay. So they could stay, you know, at this resort if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if you can stay there if you don't have a ticket to the park. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and so basically it sounds like if you've ever stayed at a hotel attached to a comic book convention, um, because it says it's a hotel, but one that requires its guests to wear Star Wars inspired uniforms and gear.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So it sounds like if you are out of your hotel room, you need to be in uniform.
Yeah, I mean that verb require is interesting. I'm not sure how that will work. I mean, it's on the one hand, if they want to create this immersive experience, like they can't have me walking around in my like I don't know Z Cavarici jeans and my you know Massimo t-shirt or something because that's not going to feel like you're on another galaxy.
Uh-huh.
But on the other hand, like, would I get kicked out of the hotel if I'm not wearing the uniform? Like, I'm not sure how that. Maybe Dengar really starts following you then, you know, if you're not.
Maybe, but I mean, maybe they're just like, hoping this is a thing that like people opt into, and like the expectations are super clear. Like it's not something you have to do, but
And it's not. Look, let's say it's not going to be cheap to stay here, you know,
no.
and they're probably assuming like if you're going to pay the money to stay at this Star Wars themed resort, it's because you want to be like immersed in this whole Star Wars thing, and
Mhm.
so you know, why are you paying this? You could have stayed down the street if you don't want to wear the uniform and get
Yeah,
checked by Dengar and all that kind of stuff, right?
yeah. So I hope they have draconian enforcement policies
Yeah, I'll go
on
for
this
it.
personally, because
Yeah.
yeah, I want it to feel that way, even if just for a night.
Yeah, and it says the story will touch every single minute of your day, and it'll culminate in a unique journey for every person who visits. So, again, I feel like they're going to have some way of tracking what you've done, where you've been, etc. And the staff that you interact with will, you know, kind of they'll somehow know what you've been doing or where you've been or like kind of what your experience has been, so that they can react to you a certain way, and even like you know maybe the places you go, et cetera, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I don't know. Sounds crazy. That like, are they gonna have TVs in the hotel room? Like, can I watch like Seinfeld like in my Star Wars hotel room, or are they gonna like really make it super? I don't know. I
I
mean,
think
I would be like,
I
don't
think
do
they'll
it.
have.
Don't even like just make it totally Star Wars themed. But I guess we'll see. You turn on the
Yeah,
TV, all you can do is watch Star Wars. Maybe I don't know.
or it's just like a
Or
galactic hollow chess board, and I don't know, like news reports.
I was gonna say perhaps they'll produce like 100 hours of HoloNet like
Yeah,
footage, and though you turn on the TV, like all you can watch is like HoloNet footage or whatever. I
that that would be amazing.
it sounds cool, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So who knows like how they're all gonna go? But I mean, yeah. And then the other thing about this, it's really cool. Like obviously, the entire hotel, the restaurant, everything is the rooms are all designed to look like a Star Wars location, like a
Mhm.
ship or you know something like that. But not only that, but um, every window is going to have. Well, I guess it doesn't say every window. Yeah, it does. Images of space will be projected outside windows, giving a fully immersive feel to the entire building. So you're not even gonna like look out the window and see Orlando or Anaheim. You're gonna look out the window and see like space or Endor or something. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, and I was telling this to Lindsay, and she's like, that's not gonna work. It's gonna be like you look outside and you see, you just see outside. And I'm like, no, they're gonna do something to make this happen. It sounds like holograms or AR or whatever,
or just screens. Like I thought maybe it'd just be like big screens outside the windows or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
oh my god, this is gonna be so expensive.
It's gonna be worth it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you see like the behind the scenes footage of Rogue One when like they're doing like some of the X-wing, like the space battle scenes and stuff, or like even just standing in the Death Star and like looking out the windows, like the way they had like giant screens there projecting footage. So like instead of like a green screen, like where there's like a window on a Star Destroyer or on the Death Star, instead of a green screen there, they would actually have like a screen with footage being projected onto it. And it looks like pretty, I mean, it looks realistic enough that they use that in the movie instead of like, compositing in digital elements or whatever. So, I mean, if they can do that to actually shoot a film with, I would think they could do that kind of thing outside of the windows of a hotel room,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds expensive, but
it sounds expensive, yeah.
But I'm sure they're going to be making money on this, so
Yeah, it will probably make returns.
Yeah. Now the resort, I don't think there is an announced date for this to open up, and I believe as of now it's Orlando only, is what I was hearing online. So I don't know that they're doing this in Anaheim. I don't think they have the space necessarily in Anaheim to do this. But Orlando, if you've been to Disney World in Orlando, there's a lot of like, open space around there where they could do this kind of thing.
But the Galaxy's Edge Park should be opening in 2019.
Yes, it opens in 2019 and it opens in Anaheim first. Okay. So if you were wondering
and then later
where Celebration 2019 is going to be, I think we know.
Oh. Huh.
Although I guess 2018 is when maybe there would be another, maybe next year will be another country or something, and then 2019 will be in the US again, or who knows? I don't know. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself here, but
sure.
It seems impossible to believe that you won't get a Star Wars Celebration in. Although now that I say that out loud, I don't even know, would they be able to accommodate everybody who goes to Star Wars Celebration at like the Star Wars park? And if they can't, then are you just like gonna frustrate people? Who knows? But anyway, It opens in Anaheim in 2019 and Orlando in 2019 as well, but Anaheim first. So
nice.
We'll see. I drove to Florida last year with my family. Hard to imagine I will not be doing that again in 2019, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder like when are tickets going to go on sale? Like how are they going to go on sale? How are you going to get there in the first like year?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. I feel like this is going to be like Hamilton tickets.
Yeah.
For a while.
Could be. It could be, although we could probably look at like Harry Potter World or whatever. Like, I think this will be bigger than that, but at
this
the same
will
time,
be
like,
much bigger.
But that must have been a big deal. Like Harry Potter Fever was pretty crazy like a couple of years ago when that place would have opened up. I would think that would have been pretty bananas, but I think they were, it's probably expensive enough and you have to travel to get to it, where it might help, I guess, a little bit keep things under control. But
yeah, but Star Wars fans are crazy and spend like $300,000 on props. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I feel like we're in competition with those with far more means than us.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And we two Star Wars fans here, the two of us, are crazy and have been talking about the news coming out of D23 for I think about 2 hours now. It's been a while. So a lot of cool stuff, sort of like laying the groundwork here, for Disney, the Disney parks, and then obviously all this great Last Jedi stuff, and Battlefront 2 to look forward to as well. I think we'll probably be talking about all three of these topics again on future episodes of the Blockade Runner, but we should probably wrap up here for tonight. So if you're still with us, thank you. We just recently recorded the start of a new series of shows that we're doing called The Power of the 90s. It was all about 1990 and 1991 in Star Wars. I think that episode was really cool, a lot of fun to do. We're going to be supporting that with other like videos and blog posts and things. So check that out at blockaderunnerpodcast.com and on YouTube and all the usual places. You can email us at blockaderunnerpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at blockaderunner, and subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, etc. If you listen to the show and you want to leave us an iTunes review, that would be very helpful. And Ryan, if people want to follow you on Twitter, you are...
Well, first of all, the Blockade Runner Twitter is Blockade Run.
Oh, what did I say?
Runner.
Blockade Runner?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's at Blockade Run.
At Blockade Run.
One word. As for myself, I am at Brawn Dwarf, BrawnDwarf.
All right, cool. So, do check out some of the other stuff we've been putting up on our blog at blockaderunnerpodcast.com, and look forward to a new episode from us in the coming weeks. And sometime soon, we'll be getting into what was going on in Star Wars in 1992, and there's a bunch of good stuff. So
that's when it gets good.
That's when the fun begins. Yeah. So, all right, Ryan, thanks for sticking with me for the last 2 hours. This is maybe the official kickoff for Last Jedi season here with Force Friday 2 coming up very shortly. So it's going to be a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.